Ensemble Hummingbird, the little travel harp that I built, and show you some of the features about it and the optional stand that you can get with it that is part of the system. This is a 3-octave harp. It's primarily meant to be a travel harp, and it's got one feature that the other travel harps you find don't have, and that is that the frame assembly unscrews from the sound box and separates, so that you can pack this into a standard size suitcase, anything bigger than 28 inches. You can pack the harp in with your clothes, and when you get where you're going, you have a nice little 3-octave harp to play. It's 24 strings, starts with the low F, ends up at the high A. The soundboard is poplar with a hard maple, a curly maple laminate. The back it's a round-backed harp. The back is also laminated with poplar, and this one is a mahogany outer lamination. I also have available a walnut laminate that has a beautiful figuring on that walnut. Walnut end caps. I've tried to add some nice craftsmanship features. There's some beveling on the front for better fingering. Get some. Let me show you how this comes apart and allows you to pack it in your luggage. So let's set this down on the table. We use a little ball and Allen wrench, and it's like a screwdriver, but the difference is a screwdriver you have to stay straight onto the fastener, and if you had to do that with this, you'd be constantly interfering with the strings in the frame. But the ball end allows you to tilt this thing away and still get a nice efficient turn. So let's loosen this. I do the center fasteners first. As I say, I can tilt it away. I start by turning the handle, but then once it's loose, you can just spin the shaft and the fastener will come out very quickly. And the reason I do the center first when I'm taking it apart is simply because as the harp ages, the string rib will bow up just like a soundboard does as the standard harps age. And when that bows up and you loosen the middle first, the soundboard, you'll see a gap opening up there as the soundboard relaxes to a flatter state. Once those middle ones are done, I then will do the end. I'll show you another way to put this together and take it apart that involves the stand. I actually prefer doing it on the stand. Nice and stable, and it's easy to see what you're doing. Alright, if I have all those really loosened, then you simply lift it right off the body. And you end up with the two pieces. Now this piece you can pack flat in your suitcase. These fasteners are all captured in this frame so that you don't have a handful of them. And now you have the two pieces. The two pieces together weigh just short of 8 pounds. So in terms of putting it together, what you have down here is a nice walnut rod with a rubber end cap so that if you miss, you don't bung up the soundboard, that you insert in the slot just for general alignment. And then up at the top here, there is a little pin here. This is an alignment pin. So that goes into a matching hole on the body. So you put that in there, and then you align that pin, and when it's aligned, everything drops down. All those fasteners now are perfectly lined up to run them right in. One advantage of having this be removable is most harps, when it's time to replace the strings, you have to replace them, poke your hand in through those sound holes. With this harp, you can simply string it just as a frame, and it's a whole lot easier to to get to this down here. And another thing that I've been able to do, since this string rib is a hard maple, I've been able to size the holes so that you don't need, they're small enough and close enough to the diameter of the strings, you don't need those little pieces of bigger string there to keep the knot from sucking its way into the hole. You can do without them completely. So let me put this aside for a moment and I'll show you the stands, and we'll put it back together on the stand, which I prefer to do. Move this out of the way, get rid of these little tables here. Here's the stand on the prototype that I brought to Somerset. This one is a black stand. It's a variable height, so that when you want to change it, you can play sitting. Like this is a line for sitting comfortably, and you can also play standing. If you just simply loosen that piece, you can slide this up so that it's, being a tripod, it's fairly stable even on a rug like this, so that now I can just pull that back into me and play it standing. I like the look of the black. I think it's really classy. But I also have a chrome stand, and I believe that the chrome is probably going to be easier to keep looking nicer longer, because since the black one is painted, there's the possibility of scratching it up. But if you're careful with it, it should be a non-issue. Stand. Now, I probably should have showed you this one. I had the table out. Putting the stand onto the harp, or putting the harp onto the stand. First thing I do is bring the wings of the stand out, loosen the whole base assembly so that you can move this. Move this up a reasonable amount. You don't want this to interfere when this thing's resting on the floor. It's going to rock around on it. Oftentimes, I'll pull it up pretty far, then put it on the floor, then I'll re-loosen this and bring this center post down until it just about touches and tighten it. I think that's the most stable, but it'll work in any case. Now the end of this stand, the part that mates with the sound box, which I'll show you here, I have a walnut shaft sticking up out of the inside. This is actually a modified microphone stand, so that's a standard mic thread. And the walnut shaft indexes into the hole in the body here. There's a captured brass ring in there, and then above that brass ring there's a hole through a sub-baffle that will allow that walnut shaft to align when you stick the thing in, and then I stick it in, and then I spin the whole stand assembly and bring it down. Obviously I don't do it quite that position. I'll have it down here, bring it in like that. And in fact, when the frame is on, I can show you this after, but when the frame is on, you can hold the harp by the frame and do that. The other way that you can fasten that together is this harp body is made so that the base, the shape of the base, is made so that it will easily rock back on this flat area and be nice and stable. And therefore, you're able to lay this down on a table like this, and then come in with the base, insert it, and twirl the base at that point when the body is nice and stable, either with the frame on it or not. Let me adjust this up so it's back in camera height. And we'll put the frame back onto the sound body. And again, I actually prefer to do it while it's on the frame. I think it's a more stable situation, and I can see better. Now I can take it and I can very carefully position that, very accurately position that walnut rod. But again, as I say, there's a rubber tip on the end of this walnut rod. so that if you happen to miss and bump against your soundboard, you're not going to mar the soundboard. So you simply put that in, you look for the little brass pin and align it and put it up against. At this point, if it's on your body assembly, you can actually, it's a good idea to keep a hold of it, but if you happen to let go, it's nice and stable. It's not going to go anywhere. Take your tool. The first fastener I usually do is the top one. That locks in that alignment pin, which is the shorter of the two pins. Then I'll come along and I'll do the bottom one. Zip that up. Ready to play. What my suggestion is for tuning, when I tune this harp, let me bring it down a little bit, it's a little high for me here. It's better. You want to be able to, if you have one leg sticking straight out the front, the rear two legs will be coming back, and this will rock back on those 2 points very nicely so you can bring it right into your shoulder. I use an IntelliTouch tuner, I'm sorry. I play guitar and octave mandolin, and this is a wonderful little tuner for those instruments, but it works very well on this harp as well. You can see it has a little clamp, so that it'll clamp to that front. It'll clamp to the frame. And then at that point, you just turn it on. Pre-done, conveniently enough here. So that's about it. That's the Ensemble Hummingbird. The ensemble refers to the harp. The hummingbird harp frame is what I call the travel harp frame. I will next be building a lark harp frame, which will be bigger, will go on the same sound box, and it'll wrap around to the top and allow me to add another 3 strings. That will allow me to have this low note be a C, and then keep the upper note being an A, so that you'll have 3 full octaves available in C and F. Since I haven't built it yet, remains to be seen whether it'll fit in a standard suitcase. So the advantage of this travel frame is it does fit in the standard suitcase. And then I also am planning an electric attachment that I'll call the Firefly. It will be the ensemble family of harps. It'll be the ensemble Firefly with the hummingbird harp frame in that case. But that will clamp on instead of a sound body, interface with the stand, and have pickups in it and allow you to bring it out to an amplifier for either private playing. It'll essentially be a electro harp at that point in time. So, but you'll have to keep tuned for those developments. Check me out at Somerset, Wickford Harps booth at Somerset Harp Festival this July, and see what I have available by that time.